Good evening, friends. And like I said in the beginning, happy Christmas and also advance greetings for a happy new year. These are times when Yogananda ji, Swamiji, many great saints have said. And I look back at those years when I was not at all aware of these teachings. As a child, perhaps, you look back and you see that there was truth behind what they said, which is that in these times when great souls were born or festivity comes, when millions, perhaps billions of people are joining in a certain celebration, there is already a lightness, a special grace, and also our own devotion brings it more to life. It makes it a very palpable reality. And in these times, one recommendation, suggestion all great souls give is reflect, and it's a good time to amend ourselves, our life, make changes. Like Yogananda ji once said, he said, after dinner, which is more or less the time where we are meeting right now, he said, after your day is over, maybe you've had a light dinner, be by yourself for about 10 minutes. See how your life is going. Are you happy with what you've done? It's like the Mahabharata. My day has gone. What did I do? How did I do? Would I like to do it better tomorrow? And so on and so forth. It's part of our actually initial practice of the niyam of introspection. And Master said that it is a very potent way to actually keep creativity in our life, be ever new. And this book, Swami Kriyananda ji wrote it actually. He worked on a book thrice. This is the final product, Living Wisely, Living Well. First it was called Do It Now. Then it became Do It Well. And finally, I remember he was giving it the finishing touches in Pune in 2009. And he invited one day some of us as he was writing the book, and he circulated the pages. He said, I think it was June or July, I think. He said, I have just finished rewriting some of my own quotes for this month. Would you like to read it? And we all were reading it. And he said, more than any other book, this one has taken so much energy from me. It has demanded that. He said, but finally, I can say it is what I really had in mind when I started working on it decades ago. I think it was 2 decades ago or so. So it's very nice to know that on one level it is very simple when we get these beautiful guidelines to lead our life. And as this year is now coming to a draw, let us see what are the lessons we can take from here, especially for this day, 27th December. Swami Kriyananda ji writes, you belong to all nations. Only temporarily are you an American, Frenchman, Italian, Indian, Christian, Jew, Hindu, Buddhist, or Muslim. You belong to all classes. Your social status is only temporarily upper, middle, or lower. No human condition can define you, for you are the pure soul, descended from God, who for all eternity is your essential, ever changeless reality. Now, on one level, as it happens, when we read a truth, a profound truth, initially just does not make sense. We have to sometimes reread it, and I think that's why we have recorded videos and books. I sometimes think that Swami Kriyananda ji had such a multifaceted personality. Yogananda ji once told a monk, he said that millions will come to us through Kriyananda ji. And I used to think that, he certainly, I think, addressed millions through his talks and such. But friends, also he is communicating to you and me this evening through this book. And on one level, it's a great gift that we have. We have these books, we can revisit them. But on the other hand, truth is also very simple and liberating, as was the final statement over there, that you and I are souls. What does that mean? Let's think about it for a short while. If explained this truth on, let's say, a general day or perhaps a phase of our lives where we are not really feeling a need for deeper understanding of life or expansion, we may dismiss it. Oh, that's not my need. I will let you know. Let me think about it. I am not sure, but nor am I interested in exploring it. But like I said, the year is coming to a close. What is Swamiji really talking about? He's not really talking about classes, caste systems, nationalities actually at all. Languages, perhaps you might say. It's very hard for you and me also. I think it is your case. I, for example, was born in Rajasthan, but my parents were from Haryana. These are states in India. And then my dad was already in a transferring job. So when I was 6 months old, I was in another state and then in Mumbai. And if people, I've been in Pune now 20 years and all. So when sometimes people ask me, where are you from? And I think you must be facing similar situations. It's very hard to say, oh, I'm from there, because I may not remember anything of the place where I was born. So on one level, he's not really talking about that. He's talking about an expansion of awareness, consciousness, where on one level, nobody in their correct state of awareness or mind would like to really be defined by that pinpoint. It just feels very limited. It's like I asked somebody, do you really think you will cease to exist when you die? And the person thought about it for a moment. We were already in an argument from his side chiefly. And he didn't want to lose it, I think. And he said, oh yes, of course. What else? I don't want to get into this discussion. But think about it. I'm now, why am I saying this? We are not dying. The year is coming to a close. Perhaps some goals we had set to ourselves have come to a close. And it is a very good time, like the Gita I was saying. It says, what did they do? It's very interesting. It begins on a clean slate with the Pandavas on one side, Kauravas on the other. And the guide for the Pandavas is Krishna. And he says, let me help you, let me guide you, O Arjuna. He's driving the chariot of Arjun. And Arjun says, sir, in that case, please will you take me between the two armies? Now, Master and Swamiji explained that that probably didn't really happen, because it would be quite foolish to expose yourself to your enemy by walking right towards them without armor, you might say, or your armies. But what was really happening was we are positioned in the beginning in between, like I said, a higher consciousness, our own limited, perhaps so far understanding, and we want to get a good view of what is really happening. And at that time, the blind mind, which is represented through Dhritarashtra, he asks Sanjay, who has, discrimination. He says, Sanjay, tell me, insight, intuition. He says, tell me, what's happening? And Sanjay has the power of inner vision. And he is clearly seeing, and he says, this is where they are placed. This is what is happening. Now, that is very good. Every day from there on, but Sanjay would tell Dhritarashtra, would ask him, tell me, what did they do? Now, it's very interesting that the blind mind, if you see in Dhritarashtra, there was a small inclination in him to expand, go beyond the blind mind. When you do not know anything and you've suffered enough, there are those moments where we all want to expand our understanding, whether through an article in a book or a quote, or perhaps just reflecting so many ways. And he's asking Sanjay, his faculty, you might say, higher faculty, what did they do? And Master says, therein lies the key to a devotee's progress, that he says, what did I do? How did I lead my life? So if we reflect on what Swami is saying, it's really he's talking about an expansion of consciousness over here. I'll also read a poem by Master in some time where he's talking about this great expansion of our heart's love. Right from, let's say, ourselves, like a child sometimes, your only reality is yourself, perhaps your toys, and you don't want to share it with anyone. You have to. We all have to be taught, oh, he's your brother, you must share it with him. And I remember I was once at the Pune airport taking a late night flight, and there was this child, at least on that evening, he was the only child in the family. So he got hungry at some point. They were right behind me in the waiting room. And he tells his father, I want popcorn, I want popcorn. And they say, okay, let's go and get some popcorn. And they must have gotten it. And then he must be eating it. Suddenly his mom said, look at you, you're not offering it to anybody. Your grandparents, your father who got you the popcorn. And he said, no, I can share. And he shared, and suddenly I heard this wail, oh my God, you've eaten all of my popcorn. All my popcorn is over. And they said, this was it. I knew this was coming. You never like to share. And then he said, get me one more. And they said, we'll get you one more, but will you share? And he said, yes. So this is how we go again and again. But let's think about it. Why is this being suggested to us? A saint often a saint of the order of Paramahansa Yogananda. He was an avatar. Swamiji said he had no personal likes, dislikes, inclinations, even karma, preferences. Why would he suggest, why would all saints, when they reach that level of consciousness, why do they suggest some common directions like expansion from our little self, you might say, to the greater self? Isn't this the message of all religions? The Jivatma must unite to the Paramatma. The individual spirit, soul, has to unite with the absolute spirit, so on and so forth. That we must expand. And many times we may say, I don't need to. But you know, friends, that Swami Kriyanandaji told us, he said it is satanic. What is satanic? Satanic influence is anything in our life which prevents us from realizing who we really are. When we do not realize who we really are, we suffer. We may suffer from fears, apprehension, anxiety, loneliness. But when we say, I would like to express and expand my consciousness, then the saints are all for it. They say that as you move in that direction, not just by your efforts, God Himself will help you. Gurus, guides, your own guardian angel. You can put it in many ways. Nowadays, the world is talking about this law of magnetism, that if you go ahead, you will meet luck halfway. Though, you will be supported in your selfless aspirations. So, what is the truth? Why should we do this? So, I want to bring our attention to something we are very familiar with, especially in India, but I think it's a very universal guideline, you might say, that we all can use. I remember at one point I had this chart. It is of the caste system. I had it right in front of my bed in the monastery. Where am I placed or situated this morning? I would ask every morning when I would get up. My eyes would fall first on that chart of the caste system. And let's see why it is important. Then I'll give some examples from our line of gurus who have suggested a similar direction. Now, the caste system was not meant to be hereditary at all. And sometimes, we are certainly in an upward swing of ages, which is to say more and more openness is coming into the lives of people, into their minds. But friends, we are still on one level quite primitive. Who in their right mind would label their child the same caste or himself when the caste itself was not meant to arrest you? It's like Swami Vivekananda ji. He said it is a blessing to be born in a religion, but a tragedy, a disaster, he said, to die in one. Religion, spirituality, which is a more refined, you might say, expression of it, is meant to help us understand why we need these posts. So what is the caste system? It begins with the Shudra caste consciousness. A Shudra consciousness is very contracted. It cannot help itself. I have certainly found myself many times in that frame of mind, also frame of body. Oh, I don't want to do anything. Now, once in a while, we all need to rest. You see, the caste system is actually an expression of the gunas, and gunas is how the universe is made. We all are, at the tamo guna, rajo guna, activating nature, sattva guna, when we are merging almost to a higher consciousness. So the caste system is an expression of it, but a Shudra consciousness is actually not good for anyone, except the fact that we have to go through it because that's how we all evolve. It's like our distant soul memory, and that's why it has its magnetism. That's why we like to just sometimes forget that there might be somebody else who has any need beyond my own. But the important question is, are we happy in endlessly tending to ourselves? Not at all. I don't think you will find a single example who can towards the end of their life say that I am a shining example of happiness and joy because I focused only on myself, not even my brothers and sisters and family. It just doesn't, even seem like a good stream of thoughts. It doesn't go well. That Shudra consciousness, when it has, Master said, gotten tired and makes up its mind, I'm not happy. It lifts its energy first mentally, enters the Vaishya consciousness where we say, I want to give something because I will get something in return. And we are expanding, you might say, our sense of reality to other people. What would you like to eat? Can I make you your favorite food? Provide you good care? Drive you and get a salary, get praise, get joy out of it also. And we move into that next category, and you can see we are putting out more energy, we are interacting with more people outwardly, you might say, and our sense of awareness is going beyond I. It's like I and you. And then when that is good, but you see, it's more like a plain level. There's no high or low over there. From low we came to plain, but then you want to go slightly higher, where true joy begins in the Kshatriya consciousness. That consciousness is so sweet, where the thought is simply of giving. The thought is, oh, how nice I feel in serving elderly people perhaps, or when I go to an orphanage, or when I make a meal for others, or like we had Christmas now, just 2 days ago. And there's a tradition in Ananda that we pick a slip of names of people, and we think and meditate on a gift for them, and we write, from Divine Mother for so and so. And throughout your life, you don't let them know who gave you, that you gave them the gift. And I saw right in front of me a little boy, he opened his gift and he looked at his parents. He said, Papa, this is exactly what I was asking for. It was a color paint crayon set with these fancy scissors. And I said, that's looking beautiful. He said, yeah, I just wanted this. So when you think of others, when you pray for others, I remember I was in Mumbai once and I met this boy in a group of college students. And they were receiving some counseling and an aura scanning. And at one point, I did their scan, and they were very, amused by the different colors that it was showing in the body. It's a, rough depiction of your body's energy, shall I say. It's a biometric system. But one boy, his spiritual eye was really big and bright. And his friend said, hey, what is that? We didn't have that purple color in our head. And what's going on in his head? And I said, well, let's explain. And I spoke to all of them. And then I asked this boy, I said, so do you meditate? He said, no. I said, do you practice yoga? He said, no. I said, okay. I said, do you pray? And he said, yes. He was quiet then. He said, I pray for half an hour for all my friends before I go to bed. How his friends were very surprised at that. They didn't know. They looked at him. They said, thank you. Thank you. We never knew. But you see, friends, that his joy must be coming out of it. It's like a beautiful way to begin our day, end our day. Kriyanandaji many times would say, he says, my life has been that of a Kshatriya. I've had to take these teachings out, the message out. And it's not an easy life, because remember, the soul's pull, the soul's memory on a lesser level is towards where it has come from. That's familiar territory. Myself, my family, my brother. To think of others constantly requires an attitude of practice, of willingness and expansion. But that's why the spiritual path is joyful, it goes up. Now, when you are crossing from the Kshatriya consciousness, a question comes to our mind. What role am I really playing? Where is this energy coming into me? Practically endlessly, one would say, when you're on that border of Kshatriya consciousness. Think of Saint Francis of Assisi serving people, Mother Teresa, great souls, Mahatma Gandhi ji. And these people have had glimpses, and of course many of them were saints, communion, oneness with God. That's the state of being a Brahmin, where they said, oh my goodness, I was really just an instrument. This was flowing through me. I aligned my mind, my body, my chitta, like I was singing, my feelings, my ego. I made it from an unhealthy ego which only wants to focus on myself to thinking of others first. And suddenly I'm finding that everything has become clear. My mind is truly reflecting truth all around me. And I can see that God was at play. Is it easy to look into that? I said no in the beginning. This planet, our galaxy, Yoganandaji said, is not in a very high stage actually, or age right now. So we need to interact with other people who are like-minded. I want to read a poem of Yoganandaji, which is beautiful, and it's on page 41 of Whispers from Eternity. Prayer for expanding love from myself to all my brethren. O Divine Mother, teach me to use the gift of Thy love, which I feel in my heart, to love the members of my family more than myself. Bless me that I may love my neighbors more than my family. Think about that. Loving, praying for our neighbors more than our family. Your family is not left out in that, you will see. Expand my heart's feelings that I love my country more than my neighbors and my world, and all my human brethren more than my country, neighbors, family, and my own self. Lastly, teach me to love Thee more than anything else, for it is only Thy love which enables me to love everything. Without Thee, I could not love anything or anybody. Friends, this is a very good point to contemplate. You're loving somebody, let's say. It can turn into hatred. It may actually, let's say, put simply, vanish. You may not feel love. Where does love come from? It flows through us from a higher source. When we realize what do you really like in someone, if you ask yourself impersonally, you will see you're not really liking the person so much. That's actually a moving phase. You're liking what they are living, what they are emanating, perhaps what they believe in, what they express. So this is where the need to tune into God first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. Rest all these things and understanding shall be added unto us. Father Divine, teach me to enter through the portals of family love and that of the love of my friends into the mansion of wider social love. Teach me to pass from there through the doors of social love into the wider mansion of international love. Then teach me to pass through the portal of international love into the endless territory of divine love, wherein I perceive all animate and inanimate objects as breathing and living by Thy love alone. Teach me to tarry not at any alluringly beautiful gate of family, social, or international love. Teach me to pass through all portals that lead to the smaller gardens of love until passing through the last gate of human love, I enter into the endless territory of divine love, where I shall find all living, semi-living, and sleeping things to be my very own. Like I said in the beginning, friends, it's not a non-specific or fuzzy logical thinking. It is a very directional, actual path where Master said, people say, oh, if I find God, I will cease to exist. It's like a drop fearing when it's falling from the clouds that, oh, the ocean is about to arrive, I will cease to exist. Master says what really happens is that drop becomes the ocean. You suddenly feel oneness. Now, people say, when I feel oneness, I will love everybody. Master says, oneness won't come to you till you love everybody to the best of your capacity. We have to apply our will to expand, or you might say stretch that muscle of love. Very quickly, I want to mention Yogananda ji, in his life, he traveled to different countries, cultures, met saints of different religions, and he included them in his book. Kriyananda ji himself was born of American parents in Romania, lived mostly of his initial adolescent life in the US, found an Indian guru, traveled all over the world, and sometimes he would say, I think I'm a Bengali, I think I'm an Indian, but he would feel at home everywhere. He made friends everywhere. He was at ease everywhere. Mahavatar Babaji, Lahari Mahashaya, they had disciples from all nationalities. And it is actually ultimately they who are bringing in streams of consciousness into the eastern side, you might say, of our world, western side, and causing this mixing where we are all breaking those boundaries. It's very good to travel to different countries with the knowing, understanding, I am one with them. I have forgotten perhaps for a brief while this language. I remember when I went to Italy or Spain, I knew only 10, 12 words. In Spain, I knew only 5 words. But I would try to use all 5 of them and more with all the people I met. And you just suddenly feel that I don't need much of a language. We are laughing, enjoying a few things, good food, presence, time of each other, guru's relationship, just by some basic things. People are the same everywhere. I think this understanding naturally is coming, will expand much more. And let's aim to expand our consciousness through this coming year by doing acts and daily prayers in that direction very intentionally. When you read a newspaper, when you read international news, pray. Prayer, it's a whole different topic, but it has to, if it's passing through you, it must produce an effect wherever you and whatever you're praying for, and so on and so forth. So have a beautiful, expansive New Year 2018. Thank you for joining us. God bless you.